We are Tailgate Talk. Welcome into the show. I'm Matt Thomas. With me, we've got Kyle Winnie, Trent Williams, and Kyle Schumann. Coming to you after a soul-crushing, although not new, 40. What was it? I don't even freaking remember the score anymore.
44-31.
They all blend together. 44-31 Penn State defeat against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Before we dive in a little bit, we're going to come to you with a little bit of a different schedule this week, mainly just working around the Phillies games. So today is just going to be a rage session for Saturday's game, and then we'll come with an Indiana preview at some point later in the week. Maybe by then the Phillies will have clinched the pennant. Who knows? Find out. All right. Before we dive into the key plays, moments, performances, whatever, this high level, what you guys thinking?
It's a rough one, right? I mean, we said last about the Michigan game how we were all disappointed in the way we lost, etc. This loss was very different, yet it hurts just as much, in my opinion.
I mean, it's simultaneous. I was telling Coco before you guys came on. It simultaneously like doesn't bother me, which is a problem. Like it should bother me, and at the same time, it hurts worse than any of those other ones because it felt like the other games. It was just kind of like we got out like talent versus talent. We got beat at the end. This was like a bad overall game when you think about how like the flow went. And then it felt like we were just gonna get the ball to bounce our way at the end. It just felt like it was gonna be that day, and then it just wasn't.
I made the point last week how I like our chances going to the fourth quarter for down less than 10 points. We're down 16-14 going into the fourth quarter. I'm like, wow, I like our chances with this crowd, this atmosphere, and didn't happen.
Thank you for reminding me, Coco. I wanted to make that point in my opening. It is the third time in 6 years that we have blown a fourth quarter lead against Ohio State. So, in case you needed more fuel to
we're a 3-quarter team against these guys.
Yeah,
a very good 3-quarter team, must say. Like very good.
I think, Matt, going back to what you were saying before, that I think it goes back to those expectations that we were kind of jokingly talking about the last couple episodes, that we kind of expected to lose at least one, if not both of these games. So I think it's just the fact that, okay, we expected it to a degree, but then it's just the fact that we were in this game through 3 quarters, almost 4 or 3.5 quarters, and then we blew it.
Yeah. So like exactly. Like we're gonna talk about all the stuff that went down, like the plays, the decisions, all that kind of stuff. But honestly, like I don't think it really matters, because all of that stuff, it was a sloppy game. There were mental mistakes. There were penalties. There were penalties that weren't actually penalties and things that weren't called and all of it. Throw it all out because we were in the game. I can't remember if it was after we scored the touchdown to go up in the fourth quarter with like 9:30 left or after they had just scored, but they had the stats on the Jumbotron and it was an even game.
Yep.
We had one more first down. They had one more rushing yard. We had like 3 more passing yards. We were in the game, and then Ohio State just shifted into another gear, and we didn't. And that was it.
It was like as if Ohio State was like, "Oh wait, we have better playmakers. We're gonna flip this switch and do Ohio State things and score 2 touchdowns in what was it, 4 minutes, or whatever it was, or it was like what 2 minutes, 2 touchdowns in 4 plays, or something crazy like that.
Two touchdowns in 5 total plays, so 3 from them, 2 from us, and 69 nice total seconds.
Nice.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
What would be the point, do you guys think, that the tables turned? In my mind, it's that 3rd and 10, and we take the timeout defensively. And then it just seemed like after that, everything kind of changed.
Yeah, I'm talking about.
I do remember that point in the game. But I mean, I just think you're saying that specific play. I mean, the obvious killer is just when that 4-play touchdown drive they had after we took the lead
with Henderson. Because it was because of the manner. So we were giving them that middle stuff all day long on the passing game and then tightening up when we got to the red zone, and they smelled blood in the water by the fact that our defense was starting to get gassed, and they went hurry up on that play, and after that you just knew. Like it was
I think it was from the Cover 3 podcast I listened to this morning. I like how Smith and Jigba was out for the game, so like probably arguably the best wide receiver in the country was out, and then this place and play Marvin Harrison Jr., arguably top 5 wide receiver this year in college football, and he's going to be a lottery pick next year. So just nuts. He's killing us over the middle of the field with like slant routes and dig routes all game long.
Kyle, we said it previewing this, right? It doesn't that those losing a key player to them is nothing because they have someone right behind them, and they have depth at every position.
They lost Mayan Williams early in the game. Travion Henderson just goes out and picks it up. But they have all the receivers. It didn't matter until the last 10 minutes of the game, and then it was just I've not to do a plug, but I have a piece on Basic Blues coming out in like an hour or two on Sunday night. If I was going to take, and I use this line, which is why I'm referencing it. If I was going to take someone who had just woken up from a coma in 2014 and they asked, what has Penn State football been like? I'd probably show them this game. Good team, talented, but not enough talent.
Mm-hmm.
Good depth, not enough depth. Make some plays, not enough plays. Just a good program, but just not ready for that moment. That's it.
So to me though, like you were just saying, we hung around, and I like to blame Franklin whenever I can, but I didn't think Franklin did a bad job. I didn't think the offense really was that bad. I didn't think I think the scheme offensively was great. I thought it was creative more than what we've seen, but defensively, I feel like Manny Diaz kind of got really passive at the end of the game and just really kind of took a step back, and then I think they took advantage of that.
We can't sit.
Clifford,
I know what you're saying. Exactly.
It was him.
That you can't sit there and talk defense without acknowledging the fact of our 4 turnovers.
Oh, of course.
One of them is not Clifford's fault. I mean, it's just a crazy batted ball that bounced all over the place.
Sure.
Stuff like that happens. The other one, you just can't sit there in the pocket. And Matt, you've talked about this plenty of times this season, and stare at your guy for 30 seconds that you're going to throw it to. You just can't do that.
Not only that, he missed Parker Washington wide open beyond the, not wide open, but beyond the sticks open, which on third down, why are you not doing that anyway? So, but I do want to point out, and Coco, you brought it up, JTT, I'll fall on the sword of trying to pronounce his name. JT Tulamulio, or however you say it.
Tuamolao?
Yeah.
Whatever.
He won that game for them, basically. If you had to pick one player. So, he was the one that batted the ball that ended up going across the line of scrimmage for that interception. He's the one that made the pick on the Katron Allen play, which that was Clifford's fault, dead and right, but it was still an athletic play. I think probably against all but 4 teams in the country, that's just an incompletion. He made it a tremendous pick.
Just a pure athleticism to have, first off, the hands of a D lineman, hands of a wide receiver at the D lineman position to just jump up, make that pick. And then he also had I think he had a forced fumble as well, I believe, right?
Yeah, he was the one with the strip sack. Mm-hmm. He was the one with the pick 6. Yeah. So I mean, again, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this. I don't really know what any other quarterback is going to do in that situation. The strip sack, specifically the strip sack and the last interception. They're just good. It just happened, It just
yeah. I mean, you can definitely protect the ball in the pocket though. 2 hands on the ball at all times.
There's no way we could. I thought. I mean, we know that I said we were going to win this game, but my biggest thing was I said to win this game we need a key turnover, and instead we gave them 4. We never, and I still think we could have won that game even with those 4 turnovers. Well, maybe not the 4. I mean, near the end there it got crazy, but if we just had that one key turnover, I feel like we still win that game, and we couldn't get it. As good as we were defensively for most of the game, 3/4 of it. We just never were able to get that huge play that I think we really needed to they're a more talented team. I think that's what we needed to put us over the top.
I hate giving Ohio State credit, but Trent, like you're saying, no turnovers. That's a credit to a good team. They were in a big environment.
They were unfazed by the environment. I mean,
exactly.
It was loud in there. It was crazy. There was no false start that was crowd induced. I mean, a couple of things they were called pre-snap, but I wouldn't even.
There was a few
in the crowd.
I'm not sure if you guys caught this, but there should have been, I think, at least 2 separate delay of game penalties that should have been called. But it's just.
I mean, the officiating. It's not the type of game where you could be the officiating cost us that game. But there was a few bad calls. That pass interference call was atrocious.
On on both sides, like, and I'll just point it out to be fair, that false start that they were flagged for on the 2-point conversion after they just went up. I saw the replay today on Twitter. It was clearly offsides on Mustafa, like clearly offsides. But yeah, like Trent, I apologize to everyone in WDU because I was losing my shit at halftime because that drive going down the field, they missed 2 holding calls, one on Isaac and one on Chop. And then Ryan Day is trying to run down the sideline before that second down play or whatever, calling a timeout when they have none left. I'm pretty sure that's a penalty too. Like I'm not positive, but like it was bad.
It is.
But it was just, yeah, it didn't lose us the game like some of those other Ohio State
it's
matchups.
Not a game I would point to and say the officiating cost us. It wasn't good, and it was both sides for sure. But some of the key holding calls, I agree, Kyle. There was definitely one delay of game. I understand like the delay of game. They say like when the clock strikes 0, and then from that point the official looks up, and there's sort of like minor grace period there.
Well, it seems like that.
If the official looks up, because you're looking at a human reaction. So when he looks up, even if it's a second or two till that ball snaps, it's like to him it's bang bang. But there was 1 or 2 where I feel like that clock expired, and it felt like
if we can go from our seats, look at the clock, and look back to the play, I think an official can look up and look back. So yeah. The painful part about it is it feels like in that game when there were so many weird things, one of those penalties going a different way could have changed it. But
I think Matt knows that if John O'Neill was still around, he instead of calling the delay game, he'd call like like pass interference or something like that, some like random call or something.
And unsportsmanlike.
Thank God he's gone.
We talked about the crowd a little bit. I was disappointed. I mean, the fans that showed up, it was loud when it needed to be. It was a good environment, but we are a 1-loss team more than midway through the season, and we can't fill our stadium to play Ohio State. That's sad. That north end zone never got filled, was never close to being filled. You can't, I don't understand how it could be a sellout when that north end zone was never filled. Like, if you're telling me we sold every single ticket in that stadium, how on earth doesn't it just like randomly scatter? It makes no sense to me. I know a lot of those people probably take their seats like stand like Kyle, etc., and are elsewhere. But even like the upper parts of the east side of the stadium that don't normally fill for like big game, like smaller games, they didn't even fill. Like until people started to spread out, that was empty as well. That to me is there's a problem there.
Do you think it's part of it? I know within the north end zone, I know Matt, you sent us that article on, I think it was like Friday or whatever, that Ohio State didn't sell out their full allotment of tickets. I don't know if that had something small to do with it, but
probably some, right? But like you know, Trent, you pointed, we get the tickets back, right? They go they go. Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
some tickets the morning of, they're going for like $35 to.
I mean, tickets wage, and to me, it's just like it's a combination of a few things, right? One, most people thought we had no shot to beat them. I think that's a dumb line of thinking, but most people thought that. 2, the noon game doesn't help. A lot of people don't get themselves up for a noon game. I mean, you look at the whiteout over an hour before the game, the student section's filled to the top. You can't fit a person in. A noon game, midway through the first quarter, the student section was still filling up. There's such a huge difference there.
The student section this week, though, I will say with those wristbands, I heard that was delaying stuff for the students to get in.
Yeah, some students were complaining about the process.
That it was taking a lot longer.
Yeah, so. I imagine it would, but it all goes back to that noon game where students are rolling in 10 minutes before the game versus the whiteout where they're rolling in an hour before the game.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure, too, big noon, closing down that gate when they came in at 11:30 didn't help. Again, if you're showing up early, it's not an issue. And then I'm pretty sure there was that accident on 322. I don't know how quickly that got cleared up, but I'm sure that didn't help things either. But
I think the big thing for sure is definitely that we were, expected to get blown out of the water, and then a noon game.
For sure.
I think would be the two big things for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Those are the factors. At the end of the day, at this point in the season, we have 1 loss going to play Ohio State at home. That the tickets should not be going for $40. Like that place should be sold out. And
that was crazy.
Like I said, credit to the fans that showed up because it was loud. I thought it was a great atmosphere. Rewatching some of the game, it seemed crazy on TV just as it was in person. So credit to the fans that showed up, but still was a little disappointed in the fact that we couldn't fill the stadium.
I thought Beaver Stadium in general that they did a good job. I mean, the stripe out was pretty cool atmosphere. I mean, it's no whiteout, but the flyover was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, the environment's always great.
They went crazy with the fireworks, which was good.
One small thing that I thought was pretty funny was at halftime there for Big Noon Kickoff, they were set up right there on the landing between the student section and the west stands there, and everyone started chanting like as soon as like Urban started talking, like Urban sucks was pretty funny. Like it wasn't just like Winnie, me, and McConus. It was like 50 people chanting it, and he gave a glare over.
Yeah.
Well,
that's pretty.
I did see expected. A couple Ohio State fans in the student section too, and there was a couple incidents where it looked like they were getting escorted out by either state troopers or somebody.
Yeah, that's what I miss, that stuff being a student. I mean, it happens every year. You get for your bigger teams like Ohio State or even Michigan, et cetera, you get some students that are actual students but are fans of those teams, and they're brave enough to wear their stuff in the student section. I mean, props to them. If I attended Ohio State, you couldn't pay me money to wear a Penn State shirt into that student section. Like, you're just asking for trouble and stuff to be thrown at you. But yeah, that's the type of fun stuff as a student that I miss, where it's halftime. There's not much going on.
Yeah,
I did not care for the halftime performance this week. I'm not sure about you guys, but
oh my God,
I thought that was so corny.
Let's just one more non-football thing before we dive in. One, I was actually excited to see the Ohio State band there because, you hear the best damn band in the land. Like, all right, let's see it. Like, I think they do a better job of like choreographing halftime stuff, but Script Ohio, doesn't do much for me. Like, it was a lot slower than I thought. Like, it would be a lot more entertaining if it was a little bit faster. It was kind of like all right. And then we could see we could see the script of.
It's tradition. Like, no one's watched Script Ohio like, oh my God, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's more like it's just a long-standing tradition, and that's what they're known for. Like, I wouldn't expect you to be impressed by it.
Well, no, but you hear Ohio State fans talk about it, and they're like, oh,
it's tradition.
It just didn't do much for me. And then we had to look at the freaking script O and H on the field for the entire game.
I said the way they patted the grass down from 6,000 people walking in the same line. It looked like they had powder on their shoes. Like, you could see the OHIO outline.
And the whole game, I couldn't wait to go down there and just like start scratching the grass back the other way to get it off there. And then that didn't happen. So
let's go back to football. Speaking of that, Matt, was there a point in that game where you thought to yourself, not, oh, maybe we could win this? Because I mean, I think everyone in the stadium thought we could win that. Was there any point that you got to, you were like, I think we are winning this game? I told
Coco before you guys joined the entire game, pretty much from the second quarter, like definitely second quarter, third quarter. Internally, I thought we were going to win because it wasn't like one of those other games in the past where it was talent on talent. It felt like it was just such a crazy game that we were going to get the bounce to go our way, and it was just going to happen.
Yeah, I felt good. I never got to the point where I thought we are winning this game. When we went up 21-16, I said, all right, if we get a score here, I feel like from that point, if we get that score with the lead, I felt like that would have gave me that, all right, it's over. We're winning this game. But I mean, from that point, things just fell apart. I mean, we took that lead, they took it back, and then really
when he knows this, like when I was talking to them and my dad, we were standing, like when we scored that, we went 21-16, I was saying, like, guys, I'm ready to get hurt. I'm ready to get let down. Because as Matt was saying earlier, like, you can wake someone up from a coma in 2014 and tell them how this game's going to play out. Like, we've all read this book. We've all seen this play. We all know the ending. And it played out where we had this fourth quarter lead. We get amped up, and then we know that it's just gonna, it's gonna be that much harder to hit the ground when they let us down. And and it happened.
When we went up there, that 21-16, I just felt like that's where this turnover is coming. Like, I feel like this is where that interception's coming, the fumbles. This is where it's coming, and this is where we solidify the game. And we just could not get it.
We were a stop and a score away from winning that game, and then it didn't happen. And then on the flip side, when they went down and scored, You're trying, because you were in the group chat with our friend of the program, Pat Sweda. I was like, we need 2 scores to win this game, and I don't think we're gonna get it. And that's why those last 2 turnovers, I really don't care. Because in my mind, the game was already over.
Yep.
1, I didn't think we were gonna get 2 scores, and 2, I didn't think we were gonna stop them on defense anyway.
Exactly.
Like you could just tell that it was gone. Mm-hmm. So
exactly.
But on a semi-related topic.
Go ahead.
Do you have something? I'm gonna change it. So you got something else?
I was gonna say there is a lot of good that came out of this game as well. So I don't think it's fair to come on here for 40 minutes, talk about sorrows and the bad, because I think there was a lot of good to build on.
I need to vent. We can get to that at the end and make me feel better.
Go ahead. We'll end on a good.
This is a group therapy session, so whatever Matt has to say, get off his chest.
We need to
let it out. Let it out.
Hi, my name is Matt Thomas.
This is a safe fan. This is a safe space.
All right, so let's talk. Let's talk about.
Hi, Matt.
What? I mean, honestly, after that,
Kyle always shows up to these meetings for the donuts and cookies.
Maple.
Honestly, I could probably say I'm an alcoholic after that game. Oh my god! But all right, so let's talk about that opening drive of the second half where we drive down the field and we don't go for a field goal. We go for it instead, and we don't get it. Let's kind of. I mean, I think we all kind of know how we feel, but let's talk through it.
Let's rewind a little back further than that to the opening kickoff of the second half.
Well, that's what I'm including all that in part of it.
I mean, that was just like, the fact that we recovered that ball is a miracle. Like rewatching it.
Yeah,
I don't know how we recovered that football.
I thought we lost it.
That would have lost the game right there. If we do not recover that stadium by 28 at halftime, here we are thinking, all right, we got the ball back. If we don't recover that fumble right there on that kick return, that game's over. And I think it gets really ugly in that second half. But luckily we did. And go on to talk about the drive. Matt sort of just briefed.
Yeah. So like that whole drive was that the fumble on the kick. Then Clifford batted the ball got batted. And Clifford caught it himself. Like Winnie's probably gonna make a joke about Clifford pass. Oh, you predict it. Then you got that. Then you've got the tip pass that goes through like 2 defenders' hands that Parker Washington catches. You've got a conversion on another 4th down. Like it was just a crazy drive. So for me, I was 100% on going for it on 4th down if the ball was spotted where I think it should have been spotted. Like we were talking with Pat, it felt like that spot should have been a close 4th and 1. Instead, it was a long 4th and 2. So at that point, I'm thinking like, okay, the way this drive is going, we should just be happy to be here, take the points, and let's get out of there. So then, all right.
Sorry, Mike, keep going.
Just quickly. So then, okay, if you're gonna go for it, I think once the decision was made, there were errors that were made from that point on. We subbed late. Ohio State did a good job of then bringing their team onto the field slowly. And then we had 8 seconds on the play clock. At that point, we should have called a timeout, reassessed, and then tried to do something where we could have, did a wrinkle, got that matchup, because we ran the same sweep with Singleton to the right out of that T formation 2 times in a row. Like that was just a low percentage decision to make there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Matt, on 4th and 2. I think I'm of the opinion that we should have gone for it, that you play to win the game that way. I agree with you. Should have been a timeout called. We should, if we're gonna go for it, let's have our best formation out there. Let's have our best players out there. Let's have our best 4th and 2, 4th and 1 play. What we got to do to get those yards. Yeah. And you say we were rushing and all that stuff. So I think we should have called them out there and reassessed.
So a couple of things. I know a lot of fans are saying that we should have kicked the field goal. I love that we went for it. I agree with Matt. I thought the spot was bad as well, just watching it from our bird's eye view. Not sure I actually seen that replay yet. Did you see the replay, Matt? Was it a bad spot?
I couldn't force myself to watch this replay today. So
yeah, me neither.
Pat's way to confirm from the other side of the field that it was a bad spot. So
it looked like it from where we were sitting. But with that, I agree. I would have bet any money a timeout was coming there. Part of me is I think that's why we didn't call a timeout, because I think everyone was anticipating us to take the timeout. So we sort of just And I didn't hate the play call. So many people are like, "Oh, I like to go for it." Yeah, it's so easy to say that. When a play doesn't work, it's so easy to say, it's the play call.
It's too predictable.
It was a great defensive play. It was a fantastic defensive play.
That's
You're trying to get 2 yards. It was one defender that made a fantastic play. You can't, no matter what the play call is there, if we don't get it, you're going to say, I hate the play call because we didn't get it. Just as easy if we dive and get that first down, it's a great play call.
So here's where I'm going to counter you though. Like typical Penn State, sure, I would agree with what you're saying, but that game, I thought we did a really good job of keeping Ohio State on their toes. And in that situation, I think we came out in a very predictable play call. That's where I would have done a quick slant, or I would have tried to utilize the tight end instead of just running Nick to like the right, which is so like the whole game.
A quick slant and it's not
completed. Parker Washington.
You're not completed. And you know what everyone's going to say? We should have ran the ball. It was 2 yards. We should have ran the ball. Sure. There's no play call. And we just glanced over the other fourth down play call on our own side of the field. Why? Because we got it. We barely got it, but we got it. So it's a non-factor.
I was getting to that later. It was late. It's later in the game, so we'll get to it.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, was it ballsy? Yes, but we got it. So it's like, all right, if it works, it works. I think it's so easy to say it was a bad play call because we didn't get it. I don't care. They could have came out there with a triple reverse trick play. No matter what, if you don't get that first down, the first thing everyone's going to say is the play call. I just think it's just something so easy. It's an easy, cheap shot.
Yeah, I just think again.
But Winnie, you know for a fact you said quick slant. If we throw the ball there and don't complete it, everyone is saying, "Why would you throw the ball there? Run the ball." It's the nature of being a fan.
At least you have the reason to say, "Okay, we're trying to do something different."
No, you would have said the play call sucked.
Oh no.
When you kind of
said the play call sucked.
When he kind of says that, I know Matt's probably going to lead us more into this conversation, but one of our big things going into this game was we need to break our tendencies, do something new, do something, change it up on offense, do whatever we can to get Ohio State off balance. And I felt like even going in our short package, like T formation there with like Britton Strange and even like motioning everyone out and do like a quick slant to Tyler Warren on a big fourth down, stuff like that.
Crazy.
That was nothing. Like it was fun to see that. Like we're like, whoa, where'd this come from? So
yeah,
I know Muscat's in a different conversation here, but I was happy as a fan to see that we didn't just come out here, do the same shit and whatever.
And that's why to me, like for this game, I mean, you could say maybe there's still some blame on Franklin as the head coach, but I can't really blame Franklin for anything. I mean, you can look at our record against Big Ten opponents and say Franklin sucks against Big Ten opponents, but in this game, if we're just looking at this, I can't really blame Franklin.
No, we took the number 2 team.
We took the number 2. Yursich called a good game offensively. I mean, I thought the scheme and the approach that we took to the game was great.
If we brought that approach to every single game, like the rest, like 10-2 is absolutely in play. 11-1 could have been in play. Like,
so I will say though, it was the same almost as last week though. You saw the first couple drives and it was kind of like, all right, what are we doing? It's kind of slow start, and then we got going on that. I think it was the third or fourth drive again, like it was for Minnesota. And I don't know. It definitely something changed in my mind from like that fourth drive of Minnesota. And I really, really believe that Franklin was kind of really controlling everything and he let Yursich go free. And that's my opinion, but it just seems like it.
Yeah. I don't know. I hate that. You have zero basis for that. I know it's your opinion, but it's just something garbage you're coming at it. You have no clue what type of range Franklin does or doesn't have on this offense. But that
when he had his binoculars and he was watching the sideline the whole time and he was reading Franklin's lips.
No, I'm going to spark the question and Pat Sweet is going to find out for us.
I don't think it has anything to do with Franklin's reign. I think it has something to do with finally the light bulb clicked that, wow, what we did against Michigan is not going to work against Ohio State. We just got steamrolled by the last good team we played. You'd be an idiot if you're going to go in there with the exact same game plan. But with that being said, I think that some of the things when you mentioned this, Franklin's getting a ton of blame. If you look at this game individually, you're right. I mean, I don't think Franklin could sit there and be like, Franklin cost us this game. I don't think you could say either of the coordinators, but I think, you can't look at this game in the bubble. Everyone's looking at this game on top of Franklin's entire career. And this is what we get, right? In every big game every time we have a big moment where it just rarely feels like it goes our way. Occasionally it does, but it just rarely seems to go our way.
One counterpoint, I think that is, other than Michigan, who beat Ohio State last year, there's no really any other Big Ten team that takes Ohio State to the wire, gives them chills every game, taking the lead in the fourth quarter. It's the number 2 team in the country. So like, I credit Franklin for that. We just can't do the last. Like, we're a good team. Like we said, for
I agree, but the counter is like,
but
we've got one, right? So it's
other
like,
most
year
most
we
other
play
Big
them
Ten teams
so
have 0.
well.
We have 1, and we're so close. Like we're 3.5 quarters of beating Ohio State. It's that last 9 minutes or whatever the hell it is. So
and
it makes that knife wound so much harder. It hurts that much more.
So,
and the score of this game, doesn't reflect. Like, I mean, even though we got that quote garbage time touchdown at the end,
and we covered
that we covered that way, and it made the score better, 44-31. But that score still isn't reflective of that game, right?
No.
I mean, that was a phenomenal football game, right down to the chaos at the end that ensued, where we just, came off the tracks is an understatement.
So we talked before, Trent. You were saying about how like one big defensive play from us probably would have won us the game, and I don't disagree with that. But I also think that we let them hang around because of our turnovers. I mean, we set them up with some decent field position from where we turned the ball over, and that led to, I believe, did they score on every turnover that we gave them?
No, they had 21 points off of 4 turnovers, and the one was the pick 6. So, but I mean, again, they're the number 2 team in the country, Winnie. How do you not expect them to hang around, turnovers or not?
But again, like, you just imagine saying, like, even if we didn't score on every one of those turnovers, even if we just pinned them deep, right? We punted and we pinned them deep. Like, what I'm saying is, like, we set them up with decent field position, if not, the pick 6 or whatever. And then it's like,
it felt like they didn't have to work hard for field position. I'll say that.
And that was what we kind of were saying before.
I mean, our defense was phenomenal, right? I mean, you look, it felt like my uncle drives me nuts with this. Like, every time we had them at 3rd and 10 or 3rd and long, it felt like every single time they got that big play over the middle. Yeah. But then you look at the scoreboard and like, they couldn't crack 20 points. So at the end of the day, it's like, it feels like they just got whatever they wanted, but it wasn't resulting in points.
Yeah, they were 4 for 12. Sorry, I just wanted to throw the stat in somewhere. I have it 4 for 12 on 3rd down. So like, I mean, now I didn't go back and watch every single second. It could have been all 4 of those were 3rd and 10. I don't know, but excuse me. But yeah, I know. Like, again, we held them well below their point total.
So
going into that fourth quarter.
Where I was going at then with that, though, with the turnovers, I mean, we kind of said, okay, the coordinators, can't really blame them. I was obviously a good team. But to me, the turnovers, like, if those don't happen, or maybe we only have 2 turnovers instead of 4, I mean, I think we win that game with that. So to me, I'm putting more blame on Clifford in this game than anybody.
All right. Okay. Well, we can go into this right now, because maybe like I'll admit that maybe I am just too much compensating too much, and now I'm looking to try to put fault on like other situations, but I don't think he played that bad. Like, literally 4 turnovers. I think 1 was really his fault.
Yeah, I would go 2. I would say 2. I'd throw the pick 6 in there. It was a crazy athletic play.
Yeah, it's athletic play,
right? Like, it was a crazy athletic play, but he still threw it right at the guy's hands, right? But 2, I'd just say I mean, 1, our offensive line just got torched on the fumble. Those types of plays happen all the time. I mean, when you're holding the ball with one hand, trying to make a play, trying to get rid of the ball, and it's hard to hold on to football in that situation.
I know, Matt, you said, during the game, we had a few O-line injuries throughout the game, right? As you said.
So we had 3 of our starters out by those last 2 turnovers. We had 3 of our starters out.
So at that point, if you have a Ohio State's D line with they're both edge rushers, are going to be NFL first-round draft picks. Yep. At that point, like, what can you do?
Yeah, and I believe both of those were on Jimmy Christ, who would be the 3rd string tackle, because they moved Efner over to left tackle when Olu went out. So so you can argue, and because it's going to go into the Drew Allar, like, does he maybe have the ability to have a better arm angle to get that ball around a defender without it, like, Maybe, but at the same time, you have to have the recognition too. Like, yeah, the pick six, but it's also a timing play on a screen. Like you're getting that snap and you're turning and just firing. So if the defensive end bull rushes the tackle and it's just standing right there, like there's not much you can do about it. The only one that was really really on him was the second interception.
Yeah, the stare down.
And that's reflected. Like PFF, say what you want about PFF, but three interceptions and there was only one turnover worthy play, which I'm assuming was that one. So that means that the other plays were just all crazy athletic plays. And like I said,
Clifford, I mean, in the end, he put us in a position like he thought the game. He threw for like 370 yards, still 3 touchdowns. Like he had again one bad interception.
Yeah, I'm just over this. I'm just over it.
All I'm saying,
it's so burdensome to every single week have to talk to this. The bottom line is, and here I'm not changing what I said. The coaching staff, you don't get to become a Division I head football coach at Penn State or a coordinator at Penn State by being the dumbest person in the world. They are seeing him at practice every single day. You can't sit like we see a small glimpse of Drew Allar and people just assume he's going to go out there and put up 60 against Ohio State. The coaching staff is seeing him every single day. If it was that obvious as fans like to make it seem, they're benching him.
The only point I'm making off that is now that this game's over with, we're out of the Big Ten East race. We already burned Drew's red shirt now. Why not have?
Because a 10-2 season is on the line. It's not a season to just throw away. And if Drew Allar is not the better quarterback right now, if he is, start him tomorrow. If he is not, and I'm guessing he's not, based off of everything I just said, why are we acting like this season's over? So many people thought this was a rebuild season, an 8-4 season. And here we are with a great chance to go 10-2. Everyone's like, oh, the season's over. Let's just throw all the young guys in.
Yeah.
Why?
And not only that, we've said it in the last 2 weeks. The offense has looked better over these last 2 games than it has probably at any point in the year. More balanced, more dynamic, more multiple.
If we're saying yours is calling a better game, we're doing better things that way. Why can't we see it with Drew? Why can't we see it?
Okay,
going forward? That's what I'm saying. Why can't we see it?
For the exact same thing I just said.
Well, let's see if it can happen though in a game. If it does, we can put Clifford back in.
Okay.
Right. And then you're gonna shake his confidence. Yeah.
So exactly. This coaching staff, they see we just sit here behind a microphone. I got to say that now. That's a fun line to
say. Fancy.
But we just sit here and say these things. These coaches are not as like it's fun to say, oh, they're idiots, right? They're smart guys. Even the worst coaches in the country are smart guys to get to where they are. They are seeing so much more than we are. They are looking at so much more stuff than we are. We just see ball go in the air. We follow the ball. They're looking at a million more aspects than we are. They have 500 analysts tracking things that we couldn't even dream of. If they're not making that decision, there's a reason for that. So to say, like, as a fan, it's just so easy to put him in. So now what? We put him in. He's not ready because we as fans think he is, but the coaching staff knows he's not. And now we destroy his future. How can you tell me for certain we're going to improve his future and maybe not hurt it?
Well, that's the other angle here too. And as I was thinking about it last night, like I understand wanting to get him reps, but you also want to set him up for success. And I don't understand what now about a situation where you have an offensive line that has been better, but has shown that they can give up pressure in key spots. Now down 3 starters, and you have a quarterback that's less mobile than Sean Clifford. What about that is going to set that kid up for success?
Yeah, and the mobility is something that people don't like to consider. Like he is a less mobile quarterback, but people ignore that just for the sake of their argument. But at the end of the day, Kyle, we have a 10-2 season on the line. That's not something to just throw away. And if Clifford's the better quarterback, by starting Drew Allar, you're throwing.
It could be one of those. It could be one of those things where maybe in practice he's not as sharp, doesn't know the playbook as well. But that unknown factor of maybe in a game like there's all these practice. Listen,
Kyle, that's a terrible argument.
No, listen to me. There's always practice heroes. There's always practice heroes. But maybe in a game something switches. We don't know.
Then we see it. then we would have seen it already
Kyle,
in the 5 games that he's played.
We've seen Drew Allar play
in garbage time. We haven't seen him in like a real, other than Purdue game. What's other real action he's seen so far?
Well, I'm sorry,
Real
Kyle,
action.
but if our quarterback can't play well in practice or garbage time, I just have a hard time believing he's going to be a Heisman contender against Ohio State. That's a dumb argument.
No, I'm saying going forward now. We have nothing. We're not.
We have nothing to lose but a 10-2 season.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see it both ways here. I think it's a lot closer of a line than we're making it seem. I can see where Kyle's
It's
coming
not
from.
though, because the coaching staff is not making that.
So
jump.
you're saying
and
you're
be
giving us
ready for next
one more
year.
loss then? One more loss and put Drew Allar in? Is that what you're saying? 9-3?
I want the better quarterback to play. Period.
So that means if we lose that with Sean,
I want
not-
the better
not that-
quarterback
Not that
to
we're
play.
going to.
I have no loyalty to Clifford. I want the better quarterback to play. I trust that the coaches that see a million things more than we do are putting the best quarterback.
Everyone's
on the field.
saying Allar has the better ceiling. Why can't we go and see it now?
Who's saying that, Kyle?
Everyone, all the analysts.
Fans.
Every analyst says Allar has a better ceiling. He could be the best QB under in Penn State.
A better ceiling. That doesn't
Kyle,
mean
he's
that's where he is
freshman.
right now.
A true freshman that got done playing high school football.
We only have 3 years with Drew. He already burned his redshirt. He's going to be gone after the 3rd year. He's gone then.
Kyle,
Why can't we prep him for next year?
I want the
That's what
better
I'm saying.
quarterback.
We're playing for next year now.
Kyle, I want
We're
the
out
better
of this year.
quarterback on the
Next year's
field.
done.
So all right, hang on, time out. So here's something that I've
So,
heard.
Kyle, are we going to the playoffs next year? Will you tell me right now we're going to the playoffs?
I better chance than this year.
No, Kyle, are we going to the playoffs this
With our
next
talent
year?
come back, I will be confident that we'll contend for a
We're
Big Ten
going to the
championship.
playoffs next year.
But okay, that's part of the problem. I've now heard, I think 2 or 3 different outlets say it this week that every single coach behind the scenes expects the transfer portal this year to just be freaking crazy. So you can't take anything for granted. You can't say that, oh, with our talent we have coming back next year. You have an opportunity to win double digits games this year.
So
you
what I'm
have
hearing
to
from
take
you
it.
guys is one more loss. We're playing for 10-2.
No,
10-2,
the
10-2.
best
I don't
quarterback.
care if we're 5-5. Kyle, I want the best quarterback on the field at this point. Right now, today, I want the better quarterback on the field. If you could tell me with 1,000% certainty Drew Allar is the better quarterback, put him in. I don't care if Clifford was here 12 years. But my better judgment tells me that the 5,000 analysts at practice and the coaching staff would put the better quarterback out in the field. So apparently Drew Allar is not, at this point in his career, better than a 6-year Sean Clifford.
I
want the best quarterback on the field.
level of uncertainty that we don't know. We don't know, but we know.
I know we don't.
But they do.
Sit here and talk about like we do.
They do know.
I
They
can't
track
wait till
every
Drew
single
wins.
throw.
I can't wait till Drew wins a Heisman next year. I was going to be saying.
I hope he does. I hope he does.
So
I would think
wow. If
Allar is
Say
better
would have
than-
started Drew Allar sooner, maybe
Okay.
could be.
So you're telling me Drew Allar's at his ceiling now? Oh,
We don't know. We
Are you-
don't know.
oh, so
That's
he's
why
at-
we'll throw him in.
he's a
That's
true
why we'll throw him in.
freshman. He's at his ceiling. That's a great point, Kyle.
Trent, you're making the worst argument so
So,
far. Seriously.
I will say
Like,
I'm definitely more
10
with
and 2,
Kyle. on
where
this, I
does
think.
10-2 get us? Where's 10-2 get us?
Probably a New Year's Six Bowl this year, potentially.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Kyle,
But
do you think it helps recruiting better to go 10-2 this year or lose?
I think
3
it helps
games?
recruiting when you have the best talent and throwing them young guys in there like we have been.
Oh, so you think it's good to play the best player?
Do you know Sean Clifford's the best player? We don't know that he's better than Drew Allar.
Yeah,
And do you
We
know
don't
Drew
know.
Allar's better than Sean Clifford?
We don't know. That's why I want to throw him in there to see.
But you know who probably does know? The people that do see it.
but Trent,
Oh,
to the
thank you.
argument that you're
Coaches.
even making, though, you look at who started the year. You look at Lee, right? Lee started the year. Lee's not even getting any snaps at all now, right? You look at Abdul
Okay,
Carter,
wait,
he's barely getting
because
snaps.
that's a counter argument, right?
You're
right?
proving. You're
The
proving the
coaches
point.
made
You're
that
proving the
adjustment.
point.
No,
They
because
seen
he's-
the better player and put him on the field.
Yeah, but
They
where
didn't
did they
give Kavion Lee loyalty because of his status. They didn't give
where
him
did
that
they
loyalty.
see them? Where
They
did
put
they
the
gave him
better
a
player
chance.
on the field
They gave them a chance on the field, though, is what Kyle's saying.
because they probably in
They
practice
proved
showed
it in
themselves.
So, and then they got a chance.
no, they didn't.
on the
Winnie.
field.
What's
Yeah,
the
they
difference?
need a
What's the
chance
difference?
on the
What's the
field.
difference between Abdul Carter and Nick Singleton and Katron Allen and all the other freshmen that haven't even sniffed the field this year or have only done it once or twice? Why are they playing all these games and they aren't? Because they proved in practice that they can handle the game better than the players in front of them.
So this is
We
where I'll
haven't-
counter you. They did a great job at practice, great job in the weight room, all that stuff. But they got a chance on the field to show what they can do
because they earned it in practice.
But why didn't they start right off the bat? Right? Why didn't Allar?
Because they needed to earn it in practice.
They were true freshmen. I'm sure they've gotten a lot better.
They had the whole summer. They had the whole spring, right?
I was gonna say, for the record, we don't want to see Matt and Trent Fleur do not want to see Drew Allar start the rest of the season. They don't want to see Drew Allar start any game this year.
No, I want the better quarterback to play. I want the quarterback that's gonna give us a chance to win the game.
Why do we want the better quarterback on the field? That's
why do you want Clifford to go another? He's not going to be here next year. It's not like the argument saying,
we can argue who's
about this year. We have a month of football left. We have 1 month of football.
I can't wait to bring us up until we lose against Maryland, and we're like, wow, here's a waste of a year. Wow, I'm performing 9-3 season. Got a better quarterback in there.
So, all right, Kyle, your argument does not deter either of our arguments. Our argument is one thing: I want the best quarterback. Forget quarterback. I want the best player at every position on the field. Period. If Drew Allar is the better quarterback, then I want him to start right now. Yes. It's not about seniority. It's not about any of the nonsense. It's about the best quarterback on the field is what I want. And clearly, the coaching staff doesn't think that. As Winnie said, with the running backs, they did it. They didn't give that edge to Kayvon Lee or Devin Ford, Franklin's favorite player on the team, who's not even with the team now, because they didn't give them that edge because they're seniors. They put the young guys in because they've proven themselves. Apparently, Drew Allar hasn't.
I'm not hating Sean Clifford. I think we've been a very pro Sean Clifford podcast.
It's not about hating him. I don't know the guy. I have no allegiance to him, no loyalty. I trust that the coaches think he's the better quarterback.
I don't know. Franklin's not made good adjustments, and we may have made it known that Franklin does not make the best adjustments for this team in recent history. So I'm all for what it's the here's my last. I'll done after this. My only argument is it's that unknown. It's the unknown that is just tantalizing to the fact that we don't know what's going to happen.
That is your argument is our argument. What we're saying is unknown as fans. The coaches do know because they see it every day, Kyle. That's why
I'm saying if he goes in there, we can show if he's ready or not. We can show on the field.
They know if he's ready or not.
They are coaching 20 hours a day. That's what they do for a living. You do this an hour a week.
I think we should put a poll up. Let's put a poll on Twitter. Who we want to see start the rest? Who we want to see start?
90% of fans are going to say Drew Allar.
Okay.
That doesn't mean he's the better quarterback.
Kyle,
we're throwing a poll up. We're throwing a Twitter poll up. Who we want to see start going forward?
It's not going to answer the question.
Throw the poll up. I'll tell you what the results are going to be. It's going to be 90-10.
I would love to see Drew Allar play.
Apparently not.
I get excited in the blowout games when there's a chance to come see him play and see what he can do. But I also want to win the football game. And I want to put the best players out there that are going to win us the football game.
Okay,
that's clearly not him.
We
have 31 throws that we are basing our entire opinion on Drew Allar about, where the coaches get 31 throws in probably about a half an hour of practice time.
He has come in and looked bad at times too when he's got in. So what's to say that he's this? If he's come in every single time in a game and been like, oh my God, he's unreal. He hasn't. Why? Because he's a true freshman. He's going to be better next year. Year 2, he's going to. It doesn't mean he's a better quarterback today than Sean Clifford. And if he's not, I want Sean Clifford.
In my opinion, period. Again, you guys 10-2. We get something in your 6 bowl. You're right. You get something in your 6 bowl. I'm just ready for next year now. I'm at that point with this team.
Okay, so then sell your tickets.
So any season that we're not in the playoffs. Any season that we're not in the playoffs, it's just throwing.
That's what's came to. That's what the playoff has done to college football. That's what the playoffs have done to college football.
Because that's your logic as your fan. But Kyle, we are not going to make the playoffs a majority of the year. So if that's your logic, you seriously should not be.
We will be going forward.
You're just every season
once the playoff is
expanded
to 12 teams.
But it's not right now.
Oh, really? So if the playoff was 12 teams, we're guaranteed a shot in now, sitting at 16 in the polls with a month left to play.
will be
It's
fine.
not guaranteed. That's not guaranteed. So okay, so then what? Do you put Drew Allar in that situation?
I'm fine for it. I'm fine for it. I'm
Oh,
fine. I'm literally fine with it.
Because in the lower seed doesn't matter. So
give us a better chance. Give us a better chance.
You don't know.
We don't know. That's why I want to see it. That's why I want to see it. We don't know.
We're going in circles.
All
we're
right.
going in circles.
Okay.
The coaches see a million things more
when he puts on
Kyle,
Twitter,
are you a smarter football coach than James Franklin?
Sometimes I like to think I am.
Exactly.
Everyone on this podcast thinks that at some point they're smarter than James Franklin at times.
Yeah, everyone, you can question things all you want. Everyone questions things.
Okay.
But like,
Winnie,
I just don't think.
Which is my meeting, Winnie. When we're done recording, we're gonna put a poll up. We want to see start Allar or Sean Clifford.
Kyle, it's gonna be 90-10. We'll put it
up.
It's gonna be 90-10.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
You're not proving a point. It's 90-10.
I literally saw the poll today. I saw it today. It was out there. Let me find it. Let me find it.
You're not proving a point.
So if all
I just don't understand how it's
90%, if 90% of the other fans agree with me,
they are.
That's the issue. If 90% of
fans,
so you're calling 90% of you're calling 90% of Penn State fans dumb. Is that what you're saying? 90% of Penn State fans are dumb. Let it be known.
I'm calling
90% of Penn State fans are dumb for not putting
fans.
You're calling them dumb. You're calling them dumb.
So should we invite all the fans to practice and have them decide what plays we're gonna run and all that kind of stuff? Like, no, we do not understand football the way that they understand football, the coaching staff.
And like, when we're saying they're doing that, it's not to argue that Franklin shouldn't be fired, because there's probably other coaches that do know football better than James Franklin. But to act like us four on this podcast know more than James Franklin or Mike Yurcich, it's just idiotic. It's fun to like say stuff like that as a fan. It's not true. It's not true. And again, Kyle, it's a simple. Matt and I are not sitting here defending Clifford. I'm saying I want the best player on the field. That is the fact that you have a problem with that argument is a problem. To say I want the best quarterback on the field for a 10-2 season.
I just want to see Drew on the field and see what he's made of. I want to see it.
Okay.
That's all I want to see.
I'll stick with my argument, which is a lot better than what I want to see.
So if you're ready to see it, if you're ready to see us finish 9-3, 8-4, okay.
So
that's what you want, Trent. Trent wants that. He wants to eat it all up. That's like
I'm pretty sure you just spent the last 30 minutes saying that you want to see Clifford do that, so you could be right. I'm pretty sure you're the one that said that, not me.
I mean,
look at this part, because he knows he just said that. I said nothing to that.
Right,
so I am saying
right now.
My argument is literally the least confrontational thing. I want the best player to play.
Okay, right now, after the Ohio State, while it's still fresh, what are we finishing this year? What's our record?
It should 10-2.
It should be 10-2.
When are you going 10-2?
I mean, yeah, I think that's the expectation based off of who we have to play still. Would I be surprised if we lost to a Maryland? Not totally, but it depends on how they bounce back
to
from
sit
this.
there and say we lost, even if we lose to Maryland, not necessarily because Sean Clifford's that quarterback.
Agreed. But as a team, though, I think the big thing will be how they follow up this game, right? Because you lost to Michigan, right? Now you lost to Ohio. Okay, you can still finish 10-2, but that chance of maybe even
and again, all these Penn State fans, Kyle included, they're just throwing this season out the window. If you want to seriously throw this season out the window at 10-2, like with a chance to go 10-2, there's an issue. But if you want to be that way and look purely towards the future, okay. But what you are ignoring is what Matt has said. Is Drew Allar is a less mobile quarterback than Sean Clifford, and Sean Clifford's not mobile. And with our offensive injuries and our offensive struggles this year, you want to put him into that situation, and you're going to say that's going to help him in his development. I don't know.
So it's Christian Hackenberg syndrome all over again. But let me just end with one hypothetical, and we're going to move on. So Coco, next year it's 2023. Coco's a year older, not much wiser. Penn State is in the same spot. It's the end of October. We're 10-2. Are we throwing the towel in the season and putting in Bo Pribula? No, we haven't seen him. We haven't seen him.
I think that's a little
how do you know? We haven't seen him. We haven't seen him. So how do you know? Give him a shot.
I think the reason Kyle's even saying
put him out there
is because it's Clifford's last year, no matter what, right?
That's what I'm saying. Clifford's done this year.
So that's what I was saying before. It's not like Clifford has one more year and you're like, well, whatever,
but
right? Like
Drew is this big talent for a reason. He's this big recruit for a reason.
Let's get this going, and then next year,
all right. Then take Brown, get him out. Zakee Wheatley, put him in there and let him play more.
Take all the seniors and bench them is what you're pretty much saying.
For next year, I'm fine getting more of these young guys in to play. Yes.
So you don't want any seniors to start, right? Because they're leaving no matter what.
I'm not saying not to start. I'm saying to get more play time.
Oh, so
it's different.
So this season doesn't matter. So the
quarterback and wide receiver,
the seniors are leaving anyways.
Quarterback and wide receiver or whatever is completely different.
It's not because they're leaving, and this season's a waste anyways.
I can't wait.
After Michigan, we should have benched the whole team. Season's over.
I can't wait till we do the depth chart next year. And we're just picking underclassmen because seniors
only freshmen can play. As soon as we lose a game, only freshmen can play. It's a dumb argument. To act like the season is over is such. This team was expected to go 8-4 this year. By analysts, less than 8-4. Penn State fans were saying 8-4. Nationally, people were putting it at 500. Here we are with a chance to go 10-2.
I picked them 10-2, and could it still happen? Yes, I still think it can happen with Drew Allar. That's just my opinion. It's my opinion that we can do both at the same time. Why can't we still have a good season and look forward to the future? Why can't we have both? Why can't we have both going forward? Why not?
Okay.
We don't know.
My assumption is that Sean Clifford's the better quarterback. So if we want the better quarterback to play. I don't know if he's a better quarterback. Neither do you. My hope is the coaches do. The ones that are actually seeing all the data and all the reps.
Kyle, so I'll say two things. One, I don't know if I totally agree with other positions. I think Clifford was the focal point, and I'll stick with that. And then the second thing,
exactly. Your argument falls apart when you look outside of quarterback.
Yeah,
the whole argument falls apart. Saying that the season's over, Clifford's leaving anyways. Your entire argument falls apart as soon as you leave quarterback because it's the same argument. It's just less focused.
This argument falls just for quarterback. It literally does. This argument's just for quarterback.
It's the exact same thing. You want to develop freshmen and get them playing time. Clifford's done no matter what. Why wouldn't that same logic flow through every single position? It would.
Actually, it does. It actually does. Why can't we get more freshmen? Why can't we get more freshmen?
So exactly.
Let's get more involved. We burned half the redshirts already. We have a maximum 4 with these guys if we burn their red shirts. Why can't we get them more playing time? Let's do it. See what they got.
Now it's getting them playing time.
Apparently not. Apparently not. Oh,
no. You want to start him.
You should start now.
Tinsley may knows the playbook better than who's one of our true freshman wide receivers. I don't even know. Let's go. Let's throw him in there.
Name a true freshman wide receiver.
Throw them in there. I don't care. They're highly rated, probably.
Oh my gosh. Credibility 0. We could move on after that.
Let's just say, all I know is Matt and Trent hate Drew Allar. They don't want him to play. They don't want to see Drew Allar succeed this season. That's all I'm hearing.
And here's what I'm going to say to anyone watching this, all 110 people, okay? You do not want Kyle Schumann to be your spokesperson for this argument because there are a lot better arguments. I don't even agree with him. I could counter argue myself 10 times better than the argument he just made here today.
We're gonna put a Twitter poll up, and everyone's gonna agree with me.
Kyle resorts to nonsense when he has no argument, and again, the logic does not make any sense.
Because Twitter is just such the place of sound logic and reason. So I'm just
glad all the fans. If 9% of the fans agree with my take, then I don't know. Then
Yep, because mob rule has never gotten any society into a bad situation ever. But I'm just glad Coco that you're not a hospice nurse because that would be terrible. Just put him out the pasture. He's not gonna live anyway. So what does it matter? Just New needs his meds. Feed him. Why do I have to feed him? He's gonna die anyway. So all right.
I just feel bad for these players that all these seniors and guys leaving for the draft that Franklin's gonna have to say, hey, you guys are leaving anyways.
Coco's gonna be booing all the seniors on
senior.
We're gonna
have to have senior day and like 4th game of the season. we're gonna have to move senior day up to the 4th game of the season because under Kyle, it's just we're gonna play true freshmen the rest of our lives at Penn State.
I know you guys like poking fun at Kyle. One serious question though about the argument I have to ask: do you think that Franklin is a little bit more biased towards Clifford? That they're super close and that's his guy. That he's not going to,
I would say this: if they are equal,
like that,
if they are equal,
if
they are dead equal, I think there's 2 sides to an argument. If they're dead equal, I think Franklin says Clifford earned the right. I think Kyle says Allar's the future, right?
I think
if they're dead equal, I don't think they're. If Allar is better, I don't think Franklin can have that loyalty because, like I said, we've seen it with other positions. He doesn't have that loyalty to other positions.
And that's where I'm wondering because, like we were saying, like it should apply to all positions, and I think we've seen that at points, right? Like we said, with Lee. But I'm thinking with
we're not.
Maybe
we don't.
It's not right. Maybe it doesn't apply the same.
Why wouldn't it? You're assuming that because he hasn't made the change, or maybe it does apply to Clifford.
Yeah.
Except in their opinion, he is a better quarterback right now today. That's the thing that Penn State fans forget, right? Drew Allar is going to be a million times better quarterback than Sean Clifford. He is. Next year, I do think if Sean Clifford was coming back next year, I think Drew Allar starts over him. That year of development is huge, and he is developing at practice behind the scenes.
Trent, you're making my argument right now. You're making my argument. The year of development. Right now is the beginning point. Right now is
you
that
can develop not playing, Kyle. You can develop not in a game.
You just made my point. You just realized that you made my point.
No one thinks that.
You just made my point. I hope you realize that.
My exact point was a year of development.
Allar's going to be. Yes,
my exact words.
My God, Trent, you just made my point. You realize that. You do realize that.
Even Winnie knows I did.
Oh my God, you just.
Winnie can't even have your back for this one, Kyle. That's not at all the point I made. So the only way you could develop.
You just realized that. You realize that you did whatever.
No,
Kyle, you're making yourself look dumb. Listen,
Trent, you made yourself look dumb. You made my point.
No, so the only way you could develop. The only way you could develop is in a game.
It's a big part of it, yes.
Oh, nope. All right. So now
it's a big part of development.
Let's envision Kyle coach football team. Their seniors can't play. All right. Seniors can't play. And now younger talent can't practice. So seniors can't play in games. The freshmen can't practice because you can't develop in practice. You can only develop in games. Kyle really just grabs kids out of high school and throws them out there Saturday at Beaver Stadium and hopes we can win. That's Kyle Schuman's coaching.
Trent realizes that if Allar is close in practice, if he's close in practice, and just because Clifford has this experience, has this in-game,
I didn't say close.
So you're saying he's not close. You're saying Clifford is light years above Drew Allar. That's what you're saying right now.
No, my exact words were
if he's close.
No, I didn't say close. I said equal. Thank you, Winnie.
You're saying equal. Okay.
I said if they're equal.
It was a hypothetical.
If they are equal, James Franklin would give Drew Allar. He would give Sean Clifford an edge if they're equal. I do think because he is a loyal guy to a point.
So if they're still equal, which I think they are, from what I've seen, I think they're equal. I think they're equal.
Here we go. Back to the circle.
If they're equal right now.
How many football practices have you
don't know either. You don't know either.
How many football practices have you attended?
I saw one. I saw one practice.
Yeah,
and Drew Allar wasn't even in that practice. It was 4 years ago.
He's probably in middle school.
Yeah. So
all right. This is a 5. I'll say it's an electric episode. We finally got some
some controversy.
Yeah. So all right.
Really not controversy.
I don't even want to talk about the game anymore. Let's just go to last call. Screw it. Who wants to go?
I have a question.
I didn't think we need last call.
Yeah. My question was going to be does Sean Clifford start? So
all right, we're getting in the we're getting into basketball season. Matt seen Coach Shrews this weekend. I seen him at Permani's on Friday. The coaches had a private dinner in the loft downtown. So, question: does Penn State basketball make the Elite Eight, or does Penn State football make the college football playoffs first?
I'm gonna go football, because we'll have Drew Allar next year. We'll make the playoff. Well, actually, won't happen next year. It'll happen when he's a junior. That'll be
he's not allowed to play because he's an upperclassman. So you're forgetting about that.
Well, he's not a senior actually.
Yeah, once he's a sophomore, it's gonna be like, well, season's over.
Oh, when Drew Allar's a junior, I believe that's when the expanded playoffs will happen, most likely. and we'll make the playoff that year.
Okay. Let me ask you this. In a 14, would we finish in the top 4 to end the season? Let's stick with the current playoff format. Do we finish in the top 4 to end the season, or does Penn State men's basketball make an Elite Eight appearance first? Because 12 teams.
You're saying top 4. You're saying top 4 this season. We're not making the top 4 this. I don't understand your question.
He's saying if we stick with the current playoff structure.
If we stick with the current playoff structure of 4 teams, or in your opinion, 12, even if it's 12 teams, do we finish the season as a top 4 team before the men's basketball team goes to the Elite Eight? I do think Coach Drews has some big things up his sleeve.
I think I have to go with the football outside of it, just because I haven't seen the men's basketball team make a tournament in like so long.
Yeah.
So
I'm going football. I'd go football. Because
although sorry, Miles Dredd, you just have to sit on the bench this year. You can't play because
half the team can't play.
Kyle's logic.
You're gone anyways.
Yeah, no, don't worry. Sorry, I know it's March, Miles.
You'll be thanking me next year when Drew Allar releases Heisman campaign when he gets a few starts later this season, and he's developing now for next year. But all right.
Kyle, put your money on the line right now, Kyle. Without a Sean Clifford injury, you're telling me Drew Allar is going to start this year? That's what you just said.
I would like him to. I would.
The difference is the difference. I will bet you $100 Drew Allar does not start this year unless Clifford is out with injury.
Oh, I will not take that bet. No.
All right, exactly. So when he wins his Heisman next year, you'll be thanking Matt and I because he will not have started, but he'll be winning a Heisman. Because he developed in practice and under
I can't wait. I can't wait till he starts one game this year. I can't wait. One game.
So take the bet.
Clearly you can because you won't take the bet.
No, I have plus money. It's not in my odds, but I'll see it.
It shouldn't be plus money. He's such a better quarterback. Everyone knows this.
I don't know. You think Sean Clifford's so great? You think he's the best thing right now, I think.
Where did I say that? You can watch this full hour debate, Kyle. You will not find me saying that. I said one thing. I want the best quarterback on the field. Nowhere did I defend Sean Clifford or Drew Allar. I want the best quarterback on the field. My assumption is that Clifford's a better quarterback based on our coach's decision.
I believe in Drew Allar more than anyone here. That's all I'm saying.
Yours is a lot more opinion based. I don't have an opinion. I could care less who starts. I don't care. Best quarterback, give me it.
So Trent, to answer your question, I'm going to go with basketball. Actually, I think that there's a lot of King coaches that have retired as of late that are going to create opportunities, I think, for other teams to kind of grow.
I'm with you, Winnie. Unfortunately, I don't see us Penn State football being a top 4 team to end the season in the near future. I see us making the playoffs in a 12-team structure. I don't see us being a top 4 team anytime soon. I'm going with basketball.
In my opinion, if we don't make the playoff annually in a 12-team format, then Franklin's not our coach. Because 12-team playoff, we should be making.
It's going to be hard when you're playing 22 freshmen.
Coco, what's your pick your plate? Go.
So I've asked this. I think
last call.
Yeah.
It'd be my 3rd time talking about a bowl question for me. What bowl game do you guys see us going to this year? Is it still New Year's 6? What are you guys thinking?
I mean, 10-2 in New Year's 6, borderline. I will say Penn State tends to get the nod to a New Year's 6 over some other programs, just because the way we travel, the size of our family, the size of our alumni base. So, assuming we finish 10-2, I'm gonna lean towards a New Year's 6 bowl. It's not gonna be the Rose.
The only reason for that is because it's either Ohio State or Michigan goes to the playoff. Then does automatically the Big Ten West champ go to the Rose Bowl? Like, if that's how it works, is it the highest ranked?
I think it's the highest ranked.
Yeah, it'll be Michigan or Ohio State.
But then wouldn't Illinois go to the Rose Bowl then? If they're
probably not going to be the highest ranked because you're forgetting they have to play Michigan already too.
No, I thought the Big Ten West, the loser of the Big Ten West goes to the Rose Bowl. I think
it's the winner or the highest ranked.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it automatically was like the conference champ. Okay. That was my understanding. Okay.
No, that didn't happen last year with Iowa, right? No, it didn't. So, yeah, Ohio State played in the Rose Bowl last year. So, all right. I'd say New Year's 6 too, but leaning probably like if we don't do that, what would be the next biggest bowl game? I guess the Outback Bowl again, maybe.
Yeah,
Like,
probably that.
That or the Citrus Bowl
The
or
Citrus Bowl's another
yeah,
one of those.
yeah.
Yeah,
Winnie.
same
Wo-
thing you
There,
guys
there,
said. I
there-
mean,
there's a million bowl games. It's
yeah.
just,
So would you consider a non-New Year's Six Bowl a disappointment for this year then?
If we
no,
go 10 and 2,
I
and
mean,
there's
yeah,
just
10-2 is. I mean, the bowl game. You know, you get what you get, but 10-2 is a good season. Especially again, go back to expectations preseason.
Yep.
Most people did not have us at 10-2. So finishing 10-2, you can't say it's a disappointing season.
Honest though, to me, anything below 9-3, I think is a disappointment. Though, in all honesty,
Yeah, I mean, if we finished 8-4 at this point, yeah,
that's
well,
just
I
off
think
of
that
like this team.
I think now anything less than 10 and 2 is a disappointment because you're dropping a game you should have.
You're losing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think 10 and 2 is actually a step up for this program because we've always dropped one of those games. So
after the past couple seasons we've had, 10-2 is a huge momentum game for this program. But some fans just want to throw the season out the window.
Winnie, what do you got?
So I was looking at a stat, and pardon me, Matt, if my numbers aren't correct entirely. So Franklin, I think I said it earlier. Last year, I think his record all time was 2-13 against teams ranked in the top 10. So with the 2 losses now, I believe he's 2-15, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds about right.
So do you guys think that Franklin will ever? I mean, maybe next year, maybe in a couple of years, do you think he'll ever get over that hump of beating top 10 teams like continuously, not just like a one-off situation, but like get into this groove, like I don't know, almost like a Saban or somebody like that, just where he really kind of elevates his game. I know Trent, you had a question kind of like that before, almost a statement saying that like, you know, we're a ways from that. It might never be Franklin or this team, but
I don't think James Franklin is ever going to be an X's and O's coach. I think he will gradually get better the more he coaches. But to me, James Franklin's always going to be a program manager. I think he's always going to be a CEO style coach. And there's nothing wrong with that if he can get in the talent that's needed. And then the coordinators, I mean, if you get the talent that's needed, your coordinator becomes a little less important, to be honest. I mean, it's a lot easier to be the coordinator of some of these Ohio States of the world than it is a Penn State of the world. So I don't think James Franklin ever becomes a Saban-esque coach.
Yeah, well, I mean, you also have to consider it's hard to beat top 25 teams. Like unless you're literally like Nick Saban or Dabo Swinney, like your record against top 25 teams isn't that great. So
for the majority of the programs in this country.
Yeah.
So you don't like right now we're not in that upper echelon obviously of programs right now. Like we're not where we want to be right now. But I'm still feeling like with this current recruiting class that we've had that we brought in, I think next year we should be okay with, like, I think we'll be more top 25 teams on our schedule next year with what we have coming back. That's all I'm saying.
Got it.
Especially when for the last couple of games, we're going to have 11 freshman starters.
I'm fine with that.
It might be kind of fresh to me, but I guess I'm starting to see Franklin. It feels like to me again that he's giving off a little bit more and putting more ownership kind of on the coordinators and getting out of it a little bit more. Maybe it's just again what I've seen the last 2 games.
It might be recency bias. I feel
it might be.
With that,
I'm hopeful though. If like he continues,
I do think
you do.
I've said this before. I do think James Franklin's a better coach today than he was 3 years ago.
Yes.
Like I do think he's a better coach.
He's evolving.
Obviously,
slowly.
there's still some major issues. Some very major issues, but I do think he is a better coach. I think his time management is so much better. He was atrocious with time management. It's not near as big of an issue. We still take dumb timeouts here and there, but before it's like we'd be out of timeouts in the first quarter, and then to start the second half, like it used to be so bad. So he's definitely becoming a better coach every year. I just don't think he'll ever become a pure X's and O's coach.
So. Did everyone answer that question?
Yeah, we better get moving.
All right.
Matt,
all right.
we got.
All right. Similar thread, but if we did not beat Ohio State in 2016, is James Franklin still the head football coach?
I mean,
yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think Penn State is the type of school to fire someone quickly. Like that win was huge, and it's probably given him a lot more of a cushion than he would have had otherwise. But I still think he's the head football coach. I know no other sport is comparable to football at Penn State, but you just look at other programs. I mean, the basketball program was atrocious for forever, and Pat Chambers never had to even feel in the hot seat in his 10 years where he couldn't win a game. So I just don't think we're that type of program.
Go
Carl.
No, I would say I think he still would be, just based on the fact that he's still, compared to other Big Ten programs, he's at that. Like he has that, like Travis said, he's a good CEO of a program. And I think with recruiting, he does a really good job that I don't think as many other coaches are. He's able to recruit highly at Vanderbilt, and so I think he still would be the head coach, but maybe more in a hot seat than he has been.
Yeah, and arguably his worst year of coaching was the COVID year, which no one put any weight on.
Yeah, I think with this question, it's about how much. I think there's two sides to it. One, you have to factor in how restless would the fan base have gotten if we hadn't beaten Ohio State, because we wouldn't have won the Big Ten. Like that probably gave him a little bit of extra cushion. But then I think the flip side of it is, now that since we've won the Big Ten, everyone wants to get back there. And every year that you don't get back there is like another, we didn't do it again. So I think it would be close, but I would lean towards maybe last year would have done him in. Last year might have done him in. If I don't know if he would have gotten the extension, if an athletic director changes, all things being equal, that might have been it. But
yeah, I mean, I guess Sandy Barber was not firing James Franklin. So no athletic director wants their first move to be firing a head football coach at a program.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I don't really know if Penn State football in general as a program would kind of go that route either. It seems like they like to keep their head coaches. Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to give coaches a longer leash than most schools. Well, yeah, but I mean, look, we had Joe Paterno, and then we have Bill O'Brien, right? If you don't count whoever the interim guy was, I forget his name off the top of my head. For that,
Tom Bradley. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
my gosh, winning to be on the football
sorry,
podcast. Tom Bradley.
Can't remember off the top of my head right now, but you know what I mean? It was Joe Paterno, Bradley, and then O'Brien, and O'Brien left. So it's like, okay, Franklin's that next guy. So really, it's like, it's not like we're kind of firing, head coaches every year.
Yeah, I think it's important to realize how far we have come. I mean, we're here crying about a 10-2 season. I mean, let's be honest. We remember the days when, I remember when we went so long without being ranked, and the moment we cracked a top 25 poll, it was like, oh my gosh, we're a top 25 team, and now here we are crying and trying to throw away a 10-2 season.
I like it. Compared to SEC schools where they fire their coaches, it seems like on a yearly basis because they're just nuts down there. I feel like,
but it doesn't always work.
That's true too. I mean, Trent says it all the time. Who are you going to bring in?
That's the thing. Guys, I don't love Franklin. But it's a gamble. We know what we have with Franklin, and it could go either way. But I mean, you've seen a lot of programs that fire a mediocre coach, like a 10-2, 9-3 coach, which is probably what Franklin is. And we've seen it at Nebraska, Wisconsin, these places that fire that coach. Doesn't always turn out the best way. It could turn your program around in the wrong direction for a very long time.
Well, you just got to give them a shot. Just put someone out there and see what they can do. We haven't seen it yet.
We should get rid of senior coaches, truthfully. No one should be a coach for 5 years.
Once they forced retirement.
I'm the biggest Allar fan. Just putting that out there.
Okay, go buy his jersey. Support.
I was just about to say, get the jersey, Kyle.
Actually, it's probably better. It's probably better for him to buy the children's book. That's kind of a little bit more.
What's great about Winnie and I editing is we can throw any clips we want in there. So there's definitely a lot of clips of Kyle being a big Sean Clifford supporter this year.
Oh, for sure. I've said it before. I love Sean Clifford. He's been great for this program. I think going forward should be Drew Allar. That's all I'm saying.
That wasn't your argument a couple episodes ago.
Yes, and that was before we lost around the Big Ten East. That's all I'm saying. Just going forward.
All right. Well, Coco's throwing the towel in on this season. I'm throwing the towel in on this podcast. We will be back at some point. Well, that too. I mean, I'm just ready to give up on this show after after 10-2,
Oh.
like why even bother? So let's just get a younger podcast host in here, that has more
Yeah,
potential. So
and
Well,
once and not, no one's not
in
bald.
this case, I might
either.
actually
Yeah.
agree. But, I mean,
Oh, I like Matt.
you just haven't
Oh,
seen
I
it.
like
So
that.
I'm Team Matt.
all right, we'll probably talk about this again later in the week. We'll definitely get into Indiana. We'll probably talk about the Phillies, and until next time, we are Tailgate Talk. Wow, that was